The meeting to order the Ventura County Local Agency Formation Commission of March 15 at 9 o'clock in the morning. And at this point in time, I would like to call the roll.
Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge of Allegiance, right?
Okay, that was number 2. Did that the second time. Pledge allegiance. Thank you. Please stand.
Hand over heart, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Janice. Okay. And we could call the roll, please.
Commissioner Avila? Present. Commissioner Crosswhite?
Here.
Commissioner Gorell?
Here.
Commissioner Parvin?
Here.
Commissioner Rooney?
Here.
Commissioner Zaragoza?
Here.
Chair Richards?
Here.
Alternate Commissioner Hassan?
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item number 4, agenda review. I would like to consider moving items 17 and 18 forward at this point in time. If there are no other objections from the commission.
Perhaps right before public hearing items, so after consent items.
Okay, after consent items? All right, so moved.
And Chair Richards, if I could read into the record some communications that we received that were passed on to the commission late yesterday, just so those are on the record. For item number 11, the Sphere of Influence review for the Bell Canyon Community Services District. We received an email with 4 attachments from Michael Robkin. For item number 13, the MSR for the Ventura County Waterworks District number 8, we received a letter and 2 emails with attachments from Teresa Jordan. Item number 16, the Sphere of Influence review for the Ventura County Waterworks District number 8, a letter from Teresa Jordan was received. And for item number 19, under correspondence, 2 emails from Olga Damascus were received. Thank you.
And those are receive and file?
It's just noted for the,
Just noted.
yeah.
Okay, thank you. All right. So moving on to consent items, item 7 through 10. Any interest to pull any of those items?
No.
Hearing none, do I hear a motion?
I'll move approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Rochelle, if you call the roll.
Commissioner Avila? Yes. Commissioner Crosswhite?
Yes, and you can fix the typo, correct, without,
The typo will be fixed, yes. Commissioner Crosswhite found a typo in Cal LAFCO's legislative policies that I will have corrected,
right, so yes.
yes.
Commissioner Gorell?
Yes.
Commissioner Parvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Rooney?
Yes.
Commissioner Zaragoza?
Yes.
Chair Richards?
Yes. Okay. Moving on to item 17. At this point in time, if we have a representative for,
Right, thank you, Chair Richards. I want to introduce Patrick Davidson. He's with CAPS Media. We reached out to CAPS Media a few weeks ago after we came across their videos, and they were recommended to us regarding the production of videos, potentially for the LAFCO website. LAFCO staff and staffs throughout the state of LAFCOs have always struggled on how to convey to the public what it is LAFCO does, what LAFCO's role is, in a manner that's easily understood by the public and even the agencies that we deal with. So it was suggested that perhaps some short videos produced for the website would be helpful in conveying that information. The more we looked into it, the more we thought, yeah, this is a really good idea. And that's when we reached out to Patrick, whose organization, CAPS Media, has produced dozens of videos for several local agencies throughout Ventura County, including the county itself. So as I mentioned at last month's meeting, I did invite Mr. Davidson here to make a presentation to you so you understand the benefits of potentially putting a couple of short videos on the website. There will be a cost for this, so if the commission does support this idea, we will include some funding for it in the budget process that we are starting. So with that, I turn it over to Mr. Davidson. Thank you.
Thank you. Is this on? Okay. Thank you, Guy. Yes, I'm a perfect example because I had no idea what this agency did. So I'm a fair witness in that regard.
Could you
It's been interesting,
state your name for
fascinating.
the record, sir?
My name, pardon me, Patrick Davidson. I'm the executive director of CAPS Media.
Thank you.
CAPS is a nonprofit. We cover these meetings for the city. We're a public agency in the city. We have a facility up the road. You're welcome to come by and see it. I know some of you have been there before. In this regard, I'm here as a producer, which happens to be my background. I was a producer in Hollywood for 40 years, so this is right in my wheelhouse, as they say. And as Kai mentioned, we produced a number of videos for the county, including 3 videos for the State of the County presentation. We produced all of your COVID updates, et cetera, et cetera. We've been an integral part of your services to the community for the past 5 years or more, which is an honor on our part. So yes, the staff reached out and gave me the challenge to say, how do we explain to the public what LAFCO does? What is the role that they play? Where do they fit in the equation? And the more I looked into it, what made sense to me is to do basically 3 videos that present 3 different aspects of it. The first is kind of an overview of how the agency works. Explains the challenges, explains the collaboration, the authority, the sphere of influence, et cetera. And the second 2 to me are the most interesting ones, because what we're talking about doing is doing case studies. Because I think the best way to explain what you do and what the agency does is to show what you do. To take an example, a specific example from your past, and walk it through with the players involved, with both from the county side and the agent and the public, et cetera, and the agencies. And there are 2 sides to it. One would be a city, and the other would be a county, so it would be broader. And I think in doing so, and we would select these would have the following components. They have a story that the people can readily understand and relate to. Secondly, that there are spokespersons in each of the key areas that can explain what they do. What I'm doing right now is storytelling, and that to me is the most effective way to communicate this kind of information to people. So that's what we're talking about doing. We're talking about doing a couple of stories. They are not long. We're talking 3 to 5 minutes. I will be talking longer than the presentation. It's real simple. When anybody sends you a link, the first thing we all do is say, how long is it? If it's longer than about 3 or 5 minutes, you say, yeah, I'll get to it. But you really won't. So the challenge that we have is to take each of these stories and distill them down to 3 to 5 minutes so they can get across the information you want. The goal here is to educate the public and to have them understand what the agency does. It's really no more complicated than that. This is what we do. This is what I've done for years. The time involved, it always takes a lot longer than you think it will, particularly the editing. But the stages are to find the stories. Those have not been identified yet. We would work with the staff. They know their culture far better than I do, to select viable stories. Work with those people in pre-production, get them teed up, interview them, hear their side of the story, and then integrate it into a compelling narrative. We're probably talking, I would say, 60 days from now, if we started tomorrow. And there is a constant review process. The staff would review everything we do and give input throughout and guide us as to what this message is. But at the same time, I would like to have others who don't fully understand the process look at it, because that's our target audience. So when we're done, we have something that really works. Where would it be used? Where would they be used? As Kai mentioned on the website, there might be a minute piece that really kind of does an overview, and then the longer stories would be there as well. But these could also be used in a variety of ways. We could air them on CAPS. You could put them on the county websites. You could put them out in social media, et cetera. We all have different distribution avenues than we've ever had in the past. That's it. It's no more complicated than that. And it relies on their expertise, their knowledge, and the stories you all share.
All right.
That's about it. So can I answer any questions?
Thank you, sir. Questions, Commission? Yes.
Just a comment that when we select the stories to tell, I would like to see those be successful projects that have gone to completion, not something that has been addressed and then not moved forward. So if the commission also agrees with that, then I would ask that you direct staff to do that.
To convey the entire LAFCO process would have to include a successful project that worked its way through LAFCO, so that would be the idea.
Any specific directions, Janice?
Well, I was just thinking about, we have received acknowledgements and awards in the past as a LAFCO. So there's some good stories there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, and even, this commission has nominated several projects for Project of the Year with Cal LAFCO. We may consider using those as the examples. What we're going to be looking for is examples of successful annexations or reorganizations that included multiple agencies, the coordination, the collaboration of all of these agencies, their input. They'll even be featured in the video. The representatives from these agencies that really do showcase the fundamentals of LAFCO. We're going to try to avoid the controversial issues that are somewhat unusual in the day-to-day processing of applications.
I think recently you just gave some very good presentations. It might be integrated into some type of video.
Yes, I think the idea for the LAFCO 101 or the introduction to LAFCO would be an abbreviated version of the presentation that I gave to the commission in January. So whittling that down to, 2 to 3 minutes is going to be a challenge, but that's why we'll rely on CAPS Media to help.
Jenny, you got it.
First, a comment. I think the idea of having someone who's not just staff or familiar with the process looking at the videos is a good idea. Do you have any sense of what the process would be like for selecting a person or a handful of people to review those to see if, oh, yes, now it makes sense? Do you know what that process might look like?
Pardon me, it's a good question. I don't have an instant answer for that. You were all candidates, obviously, but I think also beyond that, people that don't understand, but also that have, if you will, skin in the game, and have some vested interest. It isn't just somebody in the community who says, oh, gee, I didn't know about that. But you have different constituencies you're reaching out to, you're supporting, you're collaborating with. Does it work for them? Does it make sense for them? In an ideal world, they look at it and say, that's great. I'd like to show that at my Rotary meeting. I'd like to use that because now I understand it. I'd like to share my knowledge with others. That's the real end game. So,
So that if you're thinking of it that way, then maybe even something like the city managers group or one of the planning groups or something like that to see if it would be something that they thought would have value for their councils or staff or different things. So
That's actually not a bad idea. We hadn't considered that. This is still all new, so we really haven't thought through all of this, but I think the city managers meeting, the City County Planning Association meeting, the Inter-County Special Districts Association, something like that. We could play with those organizations and see how they respond.
I will say, as the producer, I would like to have one set of notes. So, working with Kai and his staff will be.
Mr. Chair, I, just for information, I've invited Kai to speak to our city council here coming Tuesday, live presentation, and we're inviting all the departments in the city to listen, virtually or at the council chambers. And also one of the things that we could do, we have a government website or TV station that we can broadcast that, for the folks to understand LAFCO, which is really, really important. And, well, I mentioned before 1,000 times, I've been with LAFCO for years and years. And every time I see LAFCO 101, you learn something, which I think is really, really important. But what Kai is invited to us, and we're going to have a good audience in Oxnard for us. And potentially we're going to have a new council member coming up too that potentially could probably look at a video, for that LAFCO 101, which are good points.
Okay. I think, Kai, you have enough information. Is there a consensus that this is an effort that we ought to pursue?
I think so.
Okay, hearing so, we can direct
Absolutely.
Kai to investigate and come back with the details.
Okay, we will include this in the upcoming budget.
All right, thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Agenda item 18 is a presentation by United Water Conservation District, and I believe we have a representative dealing with the extraction of brackish water.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to introduce Mauricio Guardardo. He is the General Manager for the United Water Conservation District. The reason that I invited Mauricio was a few weeks ago, I had a discussion with a board member of the United Water District, and he told me about this project that United is developing to extract groundwater near the coast that has been infiltrated by seawater, treat that water to develop an additional water source for use by United and by the naval base, Ventura County. So it would, if successful, provide a dedicated water source for the naval base potentially. So the district is looking for support from local agencies for this project. LAFCO wouldn't have a role in this project, but because it does involve one of the special districts and service provision in that district, we thought the commission might be interested in hearing about it and potentially supporting it based on the feedback you hear from Mauricio. So with that, Mauricio, welcome.
Thank you, Ty. Good morning, members of the board. Really appreciate the opportunity to meet with you this morning. Some incredible, exciting things happening in the water industry these days, and again, a pleasure to identify one of these major projects that we think certainly will significantly help towards sustainability in the future. Again, my name is Mauricio Guardado. I'm the General Manager with United Water Conservation District, and United Water's been serving the county and water resources for nearly 100 years now. So we're approaching that major milestone. And just going back a little bit, where some of these projects first were initiated about 3.5 years ago. We put together what was called the Water Sustainability Summit. And it was a venue where we invited legislators, key stakeholders in the community, consultants, staff members from different agencies. We had just a number of folks that were interested in moving towards, obviously, a regional approach for sustainability here in the county. We even had regulators that were showing up, again, because we felt to really move towards that, because we couldn't just continue to do business the way we've always done it. Groundwater basins were significantly impacted. Reservoirs were being more difficult to fill. So we had to move into action. And the Water Sustainability Summit was that venue that we could be action-orientated and bringing people together towards a common goal. And one of the projects that I'll be presenting today was an outcome of that effort, and that was our brackish water treatment plant. Oh. There you go. Okay, thank you. So just to give you, again, just kind of where we're located is our service area encompasses about 375 square miles. We go all the way from the Los Padres Mountains, as you can see, all the way to the coast. At our Lake Piru Reservoir, I'm very pleased to report we're about 1 foot from actually spilling over, and that hadn't happened since 2005. So that reservoir is full, and obviously there's significant runoff in those tributaries that will continue to fill that lake. Along the way, our operation includes recharging a number of groundwater basins along the way, including the Fillmore Piru Basin, Santa Paula, Mound, and then out here to the Oxnard Plain and Pleasant Valley Basins and the Forebay. Again, several basins that when we release water, divert water, we can recharge that groundwater back into a position where folks with wells have beneficial use of that water, in addition to many surface pipelines that we can send surface flows for irrigating crops. And that's going to have a significant benefit when I go into the project here. And just to give you an idea, this project is in direct partnership with Ventura County, U.S. Navy. And the project that we're going to talk about today is located at Point Mugu. So for nearly a century, this area has had a significant seawater intrusion problem. It was why our Freeman diversion was constructed in the first place as a mitigation measure to try to push back that seawater intrusion. But as you can see today, I mean, this is about a 10 square mile infected plume with high salinity. And that seawater has migrated about 3.5 miles inland. So, creating unusable water. And as we continue to draw those groundwater basins down, that seawater is going to continue to migrate inland. So, again, Water Sustainability Summit, bringing people together, collaborating. What can we do about this? And this partnership with the Navy said, well, let's take a look at, rather than the standard conventional desalination type projects that maybe take about 20, 30 years to get online, are extremely expensive to operate. What about partnering with the Navy at Point Mugu, and this is the project area here, and rather than having this major suction line in the ocean drawing water, let's put some wells near the coast, draw that seawater intrusion in while also cleaning up that plume. And I'm going to show you a little bit how that works. So mentioned we had our Freeman diversion that originally for a number of years now, we've been taking water off the Santa Clara River, recharging it back into the ground, and it would make its way. And when there's a lot of water, it's very effective because it does push back that seawater back towards the ocean. However, as you can imagine, with significant drought conditions, when there is no water to divert over periods of time, that those groundwater basins get lower. There isn't enough water to recharge to compensate for those extractions, and seawater continues to migrate inland. However, we believe we found a solution. And that solution is, again, putting these extraction wells near the coast. And what that does is, you saw earlier that affected plume of salinity water that could become fresh water if this actually does its job, which we are very confident it will. It's drawing that brackish water back towards the coast, and it's also drawing seawater in as well. So now we have this sustainable source of supply that is not only cleaning up that plume to create now a freshwater plume for beneficial use, we now have an additional source of supply that's coming from the ocean. Essentially, pseudo desal project. That extraction well, those extraction wells will produce significant amounts of water, again, that will be distributed throughout our service area. So how does that kind of treatment look like, and what are our plans up to this point? Again, the Water Sustainability Summit was initiated to be action-orientated, and these were one of the outcomes. So we are actually in implementation mode of this project with the U.S. Navy, and they've been incredible partners. We've got support all the way from the top. When we go into meetings, our updated meetings or our strategy meetings, they have all hands on deck, from their real estate department, public works, engineers, along with United's staff, and we've been really being able to move the ball quickly down the field. And so as you see here, we have a phase one project that we'll be implementing, and those would be extraction wells. And we stand to take about 3,500 acre feet from those wells and hopefully discharge into the Mugu Lagoon. These are wells after our sophisticated groundwater model was done. The scenarios were run. This is proof of concept, right? Let's see how these operate, and therefore collect data, make any adjustments we have to make for the full outcome of the project, which in phase two, you can see here, we plan to generate about 10,000 acre feet per year. Now, that equates to over 3 billion gallons of new source water for the community. That water will be treated. The concentrate will be in partnership with Calleguas Municipal Water District, utilizing their salinity management pipeline, send that brine one way, and then the production water, the new high-quality potable drinking water to the U.S. Navy, in addition to fresh water to irrigate crops, and even when demands are low, hopefully recharge some of that water when available. And I'll show you a little bit how that's done. So you saw a map earlier of our service area. This is a condensed version of where the project is located and some of the existing facilities. So again, how do you come together, maximize infrastructure, try to minimize cost, not duplicate effort, and have a sustainable project that is going to be utilized well into the future and bringing additional water resources, but maximizing the delivery too. So for example, when we have those wells extracted and we have full treatment processes in place, well, certainly, now we can send potable drinking water to the U.S. Navy. The last thing they want when they're staging up for an emergency is not having the resources they need, right? So this will be a significant redundant source of supply for the Navy. So and additionally, you saw with our service area map, we have numerous large surface pipelines that already exist near the site. And so, for example, when demands are low, like now, it's raining, people don't need to pump their wells to irrigate crops. They won't need a turnout like this to irrigate crops. People's residential areas demands are low. Well, through our network, we could still run that additional source of supply and then take that all the way up to where some of you have even been on a tour to the Freeman Diversion. And using this existing infrastructure with a couple additional connections, getting that all the way back up to our recharge basins, right, to put that water back in the ground. So now it has a wider participative use for so many others. And again, utilizing a new resource for the beneficial use of their operations, whether it's cities or irrigators alike. It would be a continuous source of supply. So again, this particular project has multi-benefits, across the board, and that's what makes it, so exciting. So where are we? What have we done? Again, action-orientated. You see how important relationships and partnerships are, and this collaborative effort have really gotten this project going, because without the support from so many others, we wouldn't have been able to secure the funding to really get us going. And as you can see, we've already received several $1 million, and the latest one was from the State Water Resources Control Board that just granted us $8.4 million for that Phase 1 project that I showed you earlier that will contribute to the extraction wells and the piping network to really get this thing going. In addition, we just signed a license agreement with the U.S. Navy. What that does, it gives us access to the property so that we can start doing the monitoring, the surveying, and analysis on site in preparation for this Phase 1 of the project. And you see here, we plan to be completed by 2030. I mean, that's real time. That's right in front of us. Again, this particular project, along with others, this is one of several that have been identified in the water sustainability plan overall. And this is one that we can see near term that will be online, providing the resources we need to get through droughts, right? I mean, historically, we've been able to do that. And this is a particular project that we feel will be significant for many, many years to come. So again, much thanks. You and I can't do this alone, right? I mean, we've had some very significant partners and collaborators. Without Callegas, I mean, this project becomes more difficult. So, leveraging that partnership, they've been incredible to work with. That's going to have a major impact. And then, again, all the support from whether it's Fox Canyon GMA, the Navy, so many of the consultants, and again, the community. Everyone has bought in. When we give updates at our summit, they say, yeah, keep doing that. So, along with the precipitation, for example, that plant would be running still today, and we'd be able to put water to beneficial use constantly, and then hopefully combat that seawater intrusion once and for all that hasn't been able to be accomplished for nearly 100 years. So it's a brief overview, so we have a whole lot more details. If you need more, I have one of our civil engineers here, Mr. Robert Richardson, joining me. If there are any additional questions, be happy to answer them at this time. But again, a quick snapshot of one of the major projects we're working on for the sustainability of this region. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Questions?
Yeah. Mauricio, thank you for excellent presentation.
Thank you, sir.
The question I have is, I know you've gotten some grants, to start the project and so forth. How about the ongoing cost? Is that going to be, is that going to be through the users paying, or is it going to be through the Navy or United customers? And number one, and number two, The timeline that's going to start in 2023, is that one project or one well, or how is it going to work?
Talking about the wells, there are seven extraction wells and a large pipeline network in that first phase. So it wouldn't be one well, it'll be seven that will be extracting 3,500 acre feet. And as far as the cost, we continue to pursue the grant funding because the total cost is $300 million.
That was my last.
And that can't be placed on the shoulders of the
Of the
community.
users.
It'd be dead on arrival. But that's where we need the support, because our legislators are listening, and they're working really hard to try and ensure that, we're in that queue, that when you have these infrastructure bills, again, it's not 300 today, it's, over that
The phase.
several years of phasing of this project. And when you see almost $10 million, already to get it implemented, that's a good start. Once we get proof of concept, we're hoping by working with the Navy and see if there's some military advantages, there through funding.
Is the Navy funding any of the project at all?
The Navy is not funding any,
Yeah,
but
'cause-
they are using all of their in-house capabilities to, in partnership to offset
The
costs
Department
where
of
they
Navy.
can.
How about Callegas? Are they funding any part of the project? Or
Not to my knowledge, if they want to open up that checkbook, no, just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but again, they've been partnering with us in staging up the use of their infrastructure. And, there'll be costs associated with tying into that, but we're still working out what those would look like.
It's a big project, 360 million.
It's a big project, and it's a lot when you just say it, out there. But when you look at spreading those costs over the entire service area, it's manageable when you consider the cost of water in so many other places. And again, our business model isn't that, well, we're just going to let that ride and we're just going to add it on to fees or add it on to rates. It's about working extremely hard to offset those costs where we can. And we think that's very possible.
But that really is going to help us with the salt intrusion there in that whole area, which is,
It's
it's a major problem for the forebay.
It'll be the only project in almost a century that will finally combat the seawater intrusion issue. And again, in addition, provide a sustainable source of water.
Thank you.
Mary Ann?
Thank you. I'm going to call you Mauricio because I always mispronounce your last name,
That's
so
okay.
no disrespect.
No
What
problem.
an exciting project, and good for you for bringing together all the collaborators on this project. I commend you on that. My question goes to, when extraction occurs through these wells, is there any impact to erosion of the land?
Our modeling didn't show any erosion issues. I think once we get those extraction wells drilled and in operation, that's going to tell us a lot. We did, again, extensive modeling. If you've seen our 13-layer modeling, we've ran various scenarios, and we don't see that being an issue. And one of the main components, too, we want to see if there's going to be any vertical flow, so we prevent any cross-contamination.
Yes.
Hey, Mauricio, great presentation. Thank you very much. 10,000 acre feet, what's your total demand right now for United?
Well, throughout our entire service area, we have, there's about 200,000 acre feet of production throughout our service area.
Okay, so 10,000 acre feet seems a little bit low. So is the main benefit of this the containment of the seawater intrusion?
That is the primary component.
Okay,
Yeah, a primary component, but in addition to finding a source of supply that we could still distribute.
right. So with the current seawater intrusion that you're dealing with, if you're adding more pumps, would it not siphon and bring in additional seawater, or are you not concerned that plume might actually extend with the pumps pumping it towards the land?
We are not concerned at all about that. Again, the modeling shows that, and that's where the design comes in.
Okay.
You can't overpump.
Yeah.
And so the design shows over time, that plume moves towards the coast, and we are actually drawing seawater in as well. And then, that's going to be high salinity
Yeah.
concentrated water. And it shows over time, there's no cross-contamination going the other way. Again, working in conjunction too, remember with the Freeman diversion,
Right.
that operation doesn't stop. And, an example is right now with all of the water that's been running through the river, we've been putting a tremendous amount of water into the ground. That helps push back that plume as well.
Incredible. I had one other question, but it kind of skipped my mind.
Oh,
But
sorry.
thank you, Mauricio. I look forward to seeing it progress. Oh, here's my question. Is there room for growth, or is 10,000 acre feet the limit?
I think there is room for growth. I mean, this first phase is going to tell us a lot. And we had to start somewhere, especially when you're dealing with somebody else's property. We got to start with a particular footprint and hopefully, build from there.
Okay, thank you, Mauricio.
Jenny?
So in your feasibility study, you talked about if it was rainy, like now, that you would pump water back up into the retention basins. So during a rain event like the one that we have, is there still sufficient capacity in those detention basins for that water to be pumped up? Is there still room?
Oh, yeah, we still have room.
Okay, well, that's good. I just
We
wanted to
still
make
have
sure.
room. Oh, yeah, we have,
We've had a lot of rain.
yeah, we have several basins that we still don't have water in.
Okay, so there's
And-
more than enough room then, even on a rainy year, which would be when you'd be pumping the water back up, there's plenty of room then.
Yes, because what happens is, we say if you put water at the Freeman, really good things happen because it's unique. Where if you attend any groundwater association meeting, and people are developing these recharge basins, if from an engineering standard, if you get 2-3 feet of percolation rate a day, you're high-fiving. That's awesome. But the Freeman, we get 12 to 14 feet a day percolation rate. So that water goes into the ground very, very quickly.
Janice, you had a question?
Yes. Is this project subject to like an EIR process?
Yeah, we go through CEQA and NEPA.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And secondly, is there more in-depth information on this project on your website?
Yes, there is. We have project description sheets that not only describe the project, gives an update, schedule, and then the costs associated with that.
And
Yeah.
so can you describe maybe a little bit more in depth about the relationship that Callegas has with you? Is it just you're just sharing information?
We're not
Or
only,
is there some kind of hope at the back end of that?
yes.
Okay.
and
I'm
I-
just
Well,
curious.
And I don't want to speak for Callegas, we're still in the works, but one of the plans that we have in working with Callegas is they had the foresight many years ago to construct a salinity management pipeline. And thank goodness they did, because hopefully we can utilize that pipeline that already exists to extract that brine concentration.
Any other
So
questions?
we're currently looking at extending that pipeline all the way to Simi Valley, actually. So it's been a great benefit to the community that many people don't know about. As to working with Mauricio, that's to be determined. I haven't heard a whole lot about it on the Calleguas side. The cost is pretty high. 10,000 acre feet isn't very substantial considering to the demand usage of both agencies. So that's why my question was, is there room for growth? Or is it mainly based for seawater, to contain the seawater intrusion?
Good point.
Any other questions?
Two-second question. So are you still with NEPA and CEQA for the two, that's not completed, right?
It's not completed, no.
Yeah, because we haven't seen CEQA in our part, or NEPA's with the Navy.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I just want to say Mauricio's awesome, super smart.
Oh, wow. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And again, as Kai mentioned, we would love this board could could support the project and certainly the other projects for our sustainability here. So again, thank you for the opportunity to meet you guys and present.
Thank you, sir.
Can I
Kai.
ask one more question? Is it possible that LAFCO members could tour the diversion area you were talking about?
Oh, I would highly encourage that.
If they haven't, I mean, I just visited a couple of weeks ago, and I was very impressed with the operation. So if anybody wants to tour it, then you'd be available for that.
Absolutely, we love doing that, and now's the time to go when there's water. You know,
When it was dry.
yeah.
went-
Well, and it makes
like
a
a bird
difference.
sanctuary
It makes a
right
difference, doesn't it, when we're driving and you have to say, well, imagine if there's water.
Yeah.
But now you could actually see it flowing and where it actually distributed to. So yes, thank you for bringing that up. We would love to give you all a tour if you can.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
All right.
Say again. Oh, Mohammed.
Yeah. Pat, I'd like to emphasize that those of you that has been in water business in Ventura County since the 70s have heard about this project. It's a big deal. And everybody talks about pushing back the saltwater intrusion. They haven't been able to. I give credit to the staff. I am part of United, but I get credit to the staff with his leadership, what has been done. It's a big deal for Ventura County Water. It's just, every detail has not been presented here, but much more to it. And the staff has done such a tremendous job. Imagine, they got the United States Navy as a partner, bringing them in, created such a wonderful environment that it's going to happen. We never thought it would happen. I also said initially when the salinity pipeline was conceptualized, at that time we thought, my God, is this going to happen? It has happened. Now saltwater, seawater intrusion, something is going to happen. And the good news is they have put it all together in such a way, it's not just the extraction, brackish water, it's also much more availability of water. It's just tremendous what is happening. So I have nothing but good things to say about it, and I'm so glad everybody heard about it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you
for
very
your
much.
comments.
Thank you, Kai.
Yeah, you're welcome, President.
Now, is there an interest for a letter of support for this project? Is that,
Right. My recommendation would be that if the commission does want to support this project, that you direct me to work with Mauricio to develop a letter of support for the chair's signature.
I'll make that motion if it's required.
I'll second for conversation. So I'm wondering, in our capacity as LAVCO, how does it fit within our ability to support this project? I mean, are we going to be, providing the approvals for any additional services? Or is there an alignment that allows us to do the letter of support?
LAFCO will have no approval role in this project at all. It's just it's a project that United, which, LAFCO does exercise jurisdiction over the boundaries of United, but it won't have any say in this project itself. As just a public agency that does look at water provision throughout the county, I think the commission is certainly justified in supporting a project that does provide another alternative water source in the county.
But CEQA would be then presented to the affected cities, right?
The district will be responsible for following CEQA and
CEQA.
NEPA and preparing the environmental
NEPA with the Navy,
documentation.
yeah.
Yes.
yeah, Jenny?
I would like a little clarification around the content of the letter. Is it the purpose to send to, say, our higher elected officials, to encourage them to help with funding? I mean, because I think conceptually, I can support the project. I'm a little concerned about the cost. So I'm just trying to figure out what is the content of the letter? Because the
big?
cities in United Waters District are some of the not
It's
as.
probably more informational then, I would think so then.
So I guess that's just my question is, if we're writing a letter, what is the purpose of the letter?
To me, this would be, and Mauricio, maybe you can provide some additional information. Yeah, it would be just a conceptual support of the project. You know, the specifics aren't there yet, so it would just be conceptual at this time.
I think a good idea for this would be an awareness and support letter, so everyone's aware of it. I don't think all the cities or communities might be aware of it, and this might be a good opportunity for awareness.
I would say be more informational at this time, because we don't have all the, you know, the what ifs and so forth. Exactly right.
Right.
So we're not there yet.
So, yeah, limited to the
Everything in
concept.
Just one follow-up question.
Yep.
So, Mauricio, do you have other agencies that have already provided conceptual support letters for you?
Yes, we have several. What I was going to piggyback on what Kai was saying, you know, perhaps we can provide, you know, again, a draft for your consideration.
Yeah.
You know, again, with the conceptual language. Yeah, certainly we weren't to take that and say, see, they support a rate increase. You know, no, we wouldn't be doing that at all. It's,
That's key.
yeah, but I think it helps create an awareness. I think it continues to fortify the regional outlook of what we're all trying to accomplish. And so certainly it would be conceptual. We're not trying to, you know, back you into anything.
Because,
And I would also like to encourage you to come to the Oxnard Harbor District to seek support from us as well.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think, you know, too, it's important because we're the ratepayers and we want to know what the effect will be on the ratepayers, you know, for all the.
Yes, sir. And one way, you know, another way to look at it, and again, it's always a struggle for me to show the cost because that's where everybody's eyes go to. And I could tell you that's not the plan. I mean, that's not what we believe is going to be the true cost of the project. And we've seen, you know, without putting projects like this forward, because really it's been several decades that we've had a major infrastructure project that creates water like this will. And what happens when we were in those droughts and, you know, people have to, you know, water their lawns one time a week, and if we didn't have the precipitation, imagine what the outlook would be, you know, moving forward. And again, this project doesn't stand on its own. It's a plan of several projects that we need to get online to work, you know, together in order to make sure we're sustainable for the future. And so, you know, there's that outlook too. I know there's always going to be these major costs, but I think that's going to help, you know, some major future costs down the road when maybe the economics of the county might significantly deplete than without having the natural resources to make it viable.
Hey, Mauricio, I think I have a good point here that might help them. What would be the life of this project? How long would this plant be running for once you guys build it? What do you foresee?
Mr. Richardson, you have
And you got 10,000 acre feet a year, correct? So what I'm trying to point out here is, you know, you have some desal plants like Camarillo's with a life expectancy of, say, 20, 30 years, correct? This is 330 million, but I think it could live much longer life than a groundwater desal plant that's going to cost about 80 million, correct?
Yes, Robert Richardson, senior engineer with United. The project would likely have a lifespan of 20, 30 years, but this is a project that needs to be perpetually maintained. So there would be well replacements, you know, membrane replacements. There would be maintenance for a continuous lifespan of the project.
And then as you're maintaining the facilities, it's not, well, it's another 300 million, you know? It's not like you abandon it and then rebuild. It's constant maintenance and just like with, you know, several of the infrastructures that many of your agencies maintain, well fields, pump stations.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Kai, do you have enough direction to formulate a
There's a motion on the table.
motion?
Yeah. There's a motion in a second.
There's a motion and a second. All-
You were the second.
Can we,
I was- Who's the first?
can we reiterate the motion?
I'll move the motion to write a letter of awareness and support for United's project.
Like informational type? Oh, okay, well, that's okay.
All right. We have the roll call, please.
Commissioner Avila?
Yes.
Commissioner Crosswhite?
Yes.
Commissioner Gorell?
Yes.
Commissioner Parvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Rooney?
Yes.
Commissioner Zaragoza?
Yeah.
And Chair Richards.
Yes. Okay, now continuing with our agenda, I apologize for skipping over item number 6, public comments. Rochelle, do we have any public comments?
We have nobody wishing to speak.
All right, well, thank you very much. Now moving to agenda item 11, which is LAFCO presentation of the Bell Canyon Community Service District Sphere of Influence Review. Kai?
All right, thank you, Chair Richards. You do 11, yeah. Okay. Okay, this is agenda item number 11. This is LAFCO 20-09S. It's the Sphere of Influence Review and/or update for the Bell Canyon Community Services District. This is about a year and a half in coming. The commission has considered aspects of this effort 3 times before. Originally in September of 2021, there was the consideration of a draft municipal service review. That was continued for 6 months. And in March of last year, that municipal service review was finalized and accepted by the commission. And then last month, there was an update by the Community Services District on their efforts to address and resolve the issues raised in the MSR. And today is hopefully the final action, and this is the Sphere of Influence Review for the CSD. And just to clarify, the MSR, as I mentioned, was adopted over a year ago. That's not a consideration today. That effort was finalized. This is strictly just the review and/or update, depending on the outcome of the district's sphere of influence. A lot of this information was provided to you last month, at the February meeting, so I will go over it, but I'm going to do it in a more abbreviated fashion, so it's just not to avoid that repetition. So as you know, the Bell Canyon CSD is located at the southeastern corner of the county. It's east of Thousand Oaks and southeast of Simi Valley. This is the boundaries and the sphere of influence for the district. The boundaries are in yellow, and red is the sphere of influence. You can see that they are coterminous. The CSD is approximately 1,677 acres. Generally aligns with the community of Bell Canyon, which consists of 672 single-family homes and with some undeveloped parcels out there. And the community gates do restrict public access to both the community and the CSD. A little bit of background in LAFCO law about spheres of influence. So a sphere of influence is defined by LAFCO law as the probable physical boundary and service area of a local agency as determined by the commission. Now, LAFCO was required to determine a sphere of influence for each city and special district by January 1st of 2008, which this commission has. And then every 5 years thereafter, as necessary, the commission must review and, if necessary, update that sphere of influence. In order to update a sphere of influence, LAFCO law requires that a municipal service review be prepared and accepted by the commission either prior to or in conjunction with the sphere of influence update. As I mentioned, there was a municipal service review prepared for the Bell Canyon CSD. It identified a number of issues that the CSD was having to deal with. That MSR was adopted a year ago, and the commission continued further action on the sphere of influence review until today to allow the district to work on those issues and help resolve them. So these are the different sections of the MSR. I'm going to focus a little bit on Section 4, the review of the municipal services, and Section 5, the relationship between the CSD and the HOA. And as I mentioned at the last meeting, the district has substantially addressed the issues that were in the MSR to their credit, and I'll point that out as I go along. So we're going to start off with review municipal services, and we'll talk about the authorized services. These are the authorized services as recognized and approved by LAFCO. They are rubbish recycling and green waste removal, enhanced traffic patrol under the provisions of a contract with the CHP, emergency medical or advanced life support services under the provisions of a contract with the City of Los Angeles Fire Department. They may organize, promote, conduct, and advertise community recreation programs. They can provide security services and graffiti abatement. All other powers and services and functions that are outlined in the CSD Principal Act are considered latent powers. The only time that the CSD may exercise those is with LAFCO approval. Regarding rubbish recycling and green waste removal, the CSD contracts with a private service provider. This contract is funded by property tax revenue, and it provides standard residential trash collection services. Regarding enhanced traffic patrol under the provisions of a contract with the CHP, the MSR noted that there has not been a contract with the CHP since at least 2013. However, recently, last year and this year, the CSD has indicated that it is in discussions with the CHP for the CHP to resume traffic enforcement services in the community. So they are planning to start exercising this service again. Regarding emergency medical services, there is no contract with the CSD and the fire department, and at this point, the CSD is not providing this service. I don't know if they intend to or not, but that's the status now. Regarding the organizing, promoting, conducting, and advertising community recreation programs, as noted in the MSR, the community's HOA has been organizing, promoting, conducting, staffing, and advertising community recreation programs, and then the HOA would pass these costs on to the CSD. The CSD will no longer provide, or no longer receive and provide these services from or through the HOA or its staff. It doesn't have the authority to do that. The CSD will hire its own staff to organize, promote, and staff recreational programs, so this will resolve that issue. Security services, including but not limited to burglar and fire alarm services to protect lives and property. As pointed out in the MSR, the CSD has adopted no policies, procedures, or ordinances regarding security services, has no security personnel to provide these services, and has budgeted and expended no funds on security services. However, the commission or the district has taken steps to start providing this service. They are in the process of exercising this service via the adoption of an ordinance, and they do plan to fund this service. And the same goes for graffiti abatement. The MSR points out that they have not been providing this service, but they are now in the process of adopting ordinances and funding it to provide these services. So based on this, LAFCO staff, our recommendation is that when the commission review the sphere of influence, they basically leave everything as is, that none of these services will be affected by the recommended action today. They will still retain these powers to provide these services. This is just a summary of what I said. Now I want to talk about the section of the MSR that talks about the unauthorized powers and services that the CSD has been providing. And I will be brief. The MSR notes that the CSD was providing traffic enforcement services by itself, which it's not authorized to do. Outside of a contract with the CHP, it has no power to provide that service. Emergency medical training, same thing. Parks and recreation facilities, they were funding the maintenance of parks and recreational facilities and actually leasing one. However, they don't have that authority. Apparently, they will come to LAFCO to start exercising that latent power in the future. Community emergency response team, fire and emergency related services, and then also a school bus stop. As I mentioned, these are all latent powers. The CSD has no legal authority to exercise these powers or expend funds on them unless approved by LAFCO. And as we heard last month, the CSD has ceased providing these services. So a little bit about the relationship between the CSD and the HOA discussed in the MSR. As discussed in the MSR, the CSD has been granting funds to the HOA to provide recreation programs, recreation facilities, and traffic enforcement. As mentioned again in the MSR, the CSD has no legal authority to provide grants to the HOA. And the CSD has agreed to stop. The CSD will no longer give grant funds to the HOA or provide reimbursements to the HOA of any kind. And the CSD will not utilize HOA or its staff in any capacity in the future. So again, that resolves that issue. Regarding public records and meetings, as mentioned again in the MSR, the CSD's board meetings occur behind the community's front gates, which are of course closed to the public, which is a Brown Act issue when the public is not available to access these meetings. The CSD has installed a bulletin board outside the community's gates in which meeting agendas are now posted. There's some signage. There is some issues with parking that they are still trying to resolve. And the board meeting agendas now include instructions across the top on how to get through the front gates if you want to attend a board meeting. So moving on to the sphere of influence review, that is what is the matter today. These are the determinations that the commission must make for the sphere of influence review. These are discussed in the staff report, and we do have recommended determinations that the commission can make, basically recognizing that the CSD has addressed the issues raised in the MSR, and that the commission review and not make any changes to either the sphere of influence or the authorized services. So the effect will be that this remains the same, no changes to the sphere of influence. So the recommendation is that the commission determine that this is exempt from CEQA, and B, adopt resolution 2009S, making determinations and reviewing the sphere of influence for the district, and including that a sphere of influence update is not necessary. And that concludes my presentation. Be happy to answer any questions. Okay. And I do believe representatives from Bell Canyon are here if there's any questions for the CSD.
I move approval.
I'd like to open the public hearing. Like to open the public hearings if we have a representative from Bell Canyon Community Service District.
There are questions for?
Oh, any questions? I heard none.
Maybe after the speakers speak, we might have questions.
Sure, we can have questions afterwards.
Do we have any speakers?
I have nobody that's filled out a card, and I don't see any hands raised on Zoom.
No speakers, we can close the public hearing.
I move approval of the item.
I'll second.
Now, can we open up for a quick discussion?
For discussion.
I know we received an email, several emails, and I just wanted to know if staff's going to be addressing the emails relative to like conflict of interest, because they are referenced in the sphere of influence. There were a number of items, I'm not sure, I think I received this a couple of days ago. But it seems that there's still some open items that they're not fully comfortable with that maybe should be addressed at this meeting.
And I can address that to a certain extent. The MSR brought up the issue of conflict of interest because there are board members of the CSD who also sit on the board of the HOA. The conflict of interest or the potential for that can result when board members are taking actions to give CSD funds to the HOA. Now, that wasn't the issue back in 2013 when that letter came out about potential conflicts of interest between these two agencies, is because at that time, there was no indication that money was being given from the CSD to the HOA. It was that fact that was raised in the MSR that led to the potential for those conflicts of interest. With the actions that the district is taking to no longer give CSD funds to the HOA, that potential conflict will likely be resolved and not an issue. And that's why I didn't raise it here, is because once that ceases, that issue pretty much ceases. Now, there's another issue that Jeff mentioned at the last meeting, that there's still a potential, because there's 2 CSD board members sitting on the HOA board, if a third district member wants to go speak at that HOA, well, there's a quorum of the CSD meeting. So that's an issue that's outside of the MSR, and that's outside of CSD and LAFCO, but that's an issue that the HOA is going to have to deal with.
Okay, I understand that, but I have another question. I mean, they're fully aware of that now, and obviously, so I don't believe that would ever occur. But my next comment, I suppose, would be, and I know it's in the MSR, but there's a lot of things in the sphere of influence that kind of reference the MSR. So here's another one. It talks about, I mean, I think it implies that there's missing money. And so I believe you established later that there was no missing money necessarily, correct?
Right, the MSR.
I just want to make sure that's on the record. There is no missing money. I brought this up at the last meeting, but because there was an interpretation by some of the residents that there was money missing, and I just wanted to clarify there's no money missing.
Yeah, the MSR does not conclude that there's money missing.
Okay. Let's see. I just wanted to, we're closing the book on this, right? So if there's anything left outstanding, I just want to touch on it. I think that was the key components of it, so.
Yeah. He goes first.
I just want to say, last time, last meeting, we saw some great progress from Bell Canyon. Their intentions have always been good. Whether they were necessarily within their sphere of influence or out, their intentions were good. They wanted to do the right thing for their communities. Doesn't change the fact that not all rules were followed. So it's still some concerns there of, when is the next MSR? And, I hope they stay on track, but, when would the next MSR be?
This process was started in 2020 pursuant to, the calendar of reviews MSRs adopted by the commission. So pursuant to that calendar, we would be looking in on the district in 2025, not necessarily preparing an MSR, but doing a review to see if they're still, following all of the rules and operating within the constraints, that apply to them. So we can do that review. If it turns out that there's issues, we can do an MSR and bring those back to the commission to make them aware. I would hope that we wouldn't have that problem, given this whole process, so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to commend all that have been working on this for the MSRs. I think they've made a lot of progress. It's working great, and there's a lot of things that needs to be straightened out, and I'm sure with their efforts that the individuals that are here today and others, that they'll correct them. So I just commend all of them for that extra work, and I know it's a lot of work to follow the MSRs, which I commend all of you. So good work. Thank you.
One more thing. Thank you. So if they want to come back and add some of the services that they're legally allowed to do, they can do that all at one time.
As far as requesting an exercise
Yeah,
of latent power.
they're latent powers.
Yeah,
So under one purview, hopefully one meeting.
under one meeting, they would all be analyzed separately, but
Okay.
yeah, there can be one action to approve those.
Okay.
Would it be out of the question or possibility to do a review, say, in a year and a half? Just to make sure that, what we've seen is followed through with. Everything is,
Well, we're scheduled to do it in 2025 anyway. So we could start that process late 2024, early 2025. and so.
Well,
Any other questions?
just congratulations to Bell Canyon for addressing any, I guess, many misinterpretations of things. And there's clarification now, they're moving in the right path, and it looks good. So, thank you.
All right, I'd like to also echo comments with regards to the amount of time and energy and effort that were put forward by both Bill Canyon Service District and staff to resolve the number of issues. So thank you. Do I hear a motion to? Oh,
I moved, she seconded.
oh, missed that. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Avila? Yes. Commissioner Crosswhite?
Yes.
Commissioner Gorell?
Yes.
Commissioner Parvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Rooney?
Yes.
Commissioner Zaragoza?
Yes.
Chair Richards?
Yes. All right, moving on to agenda item 12, Metropolitan Water District recognition of jurisdictional boundaries. This is a new item, new subject, I guess. Kai?
Thank you, Chair Richards. Uh, 12. Okay, this is agenda item number 12. It's LAFCO 2301. It's regarding the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, and it's a recognition of jurisdictional boundaries within Ventura County. And before I start, I just want to say that staff truly appreciates the cooperation, the responsiveness of staff from Callegas, who is here, staff from Metropolitan Water District, who is here. And I do want to call out Alex Matthews with the County Surveyor's Office. He worked on reviewing the boundaries of Callegas as LAFCO understood them to be, the boundaries of Metropolitan as Metropolitan understood them to be, to reconcile discrepancies that were identified. And this was like a year-long effort. And the work product that came out from Alex Matthews was so precise that when Callegas reviewed it and Met reviewed it, they accepted it as is without any recommended changes. So I just want to recognize that effort. So the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California was formed in 1928, the primary purpose of which was to construct and operate the Colorado River Aqueduct. Today, it distributes water from two sources. This is the State Water Project, which brings water down from Northern California, and then, of course, the Colorado River Aqueduct. It provides wholesale water to 19 million people, approximately, in 26 member agencies in the counties of Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, San Diego, and Ventura. Now, the Callegas Municipal Water District is the only member agency in Ventura County. Of those 26, it is the only one located in Ventura County, and it's located entirely in Ventura County. So what's LAFCO's authority, general authority over metropolitan water districts, again, in general? LAFCO law provides that this division provides the sole and exclusive authority and procedure for the initiation, conduct, and completion of changes of organization and reorganization for cities and districts. All changes of organization and reorganization shall be initiated, conducted, and completed in accordance with and as provided for in this division. So a change of organization, annexations are changes of organizations, detachments are changes of organizations, and when those are made to districts, LAFCO has a sole authority over approving those. The commission shall have the power and the duty to, quote, approve, or to review and approve with or without amendment, wholly, partially, or conditionally, or disapprove proposals for changes of organization or reorganization consistent with written policies, procedures, and guidelines adopted by the commission. Here again, not only is LAFCO required to do it, LAFCO has the duty to do it. And a district is defined as an agency of the state formed pursuant to general law or special act for the local performance of governmental or proprietary functions within limited boundaries. So metropolitan water districts do meet the definition of a district. So under LAFCO law, LAFCO has the sole authority, LAFCO has the duty, and metropolitan meets the definition of a district over which LAFCO exercises that authority and that duty. However, for reasons not quite understood by staff, at some point long ago, there was a determination that metropolitan water districts were not subject to LAFCO authority. And as such, Ventura LAFCO has never been taking actions to approve any boundary changes to Metropolitan. They were occurring, and we don't quite understand how, but they were occurring, but it was inconsistent with LAFCO law. So about 2 years ago, we started this process to bring Metropolitan under LAFCO's authority because LAFCO's required to exercise that authority. So that's just general requirements over metropolitan districts. What is specifically Ventura LAFCO's authority over specifically the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California? Well, there's a rather unique provision in LAFCO law that applies to this situation. Metropolitan Water District is defined as a parent district in LAFCO law, and Calleguas is defined as a member district in LAFCO law. So there's a provision that where the principal act of the parent district, in this case Metropolitan, provides that the boundaries of the parent district may be changed concurrently with the boundaries of a member district, in this case Calleguas. Then the commission of the principal county of the member district shall have exclusive jurisdiction over such change in boundaries of the member district and also the parent district subject to this division. Well, because Calleguas is located entirely in Ventura County is the principal county. And because Calleguas is the member district, that means that Ventura LAFCO has exclusive jurisdiction over concurrent boundary changes to both Metropolitan and Calleguas in Ventura County. So what are the purpose of recognizing the boundaries of Metropolitan? Well, the first is that it's the first step in LAFCO exercising jurisdiction over future boundary changes. However, under LAFCO law, all future boundary changes must be consistent with the sphere of influence. Well, because LAFCO has never exercised its jurisdiction over Metropolitan, there's been no sphere of influence established for Metropolitan and Ventura County. So the second purpose of recognizing the boundaries is to give us a basis for the commission to determine a sphere of influence. In order to determine a sphere of influence, a municipal service review has to be prepared and accepted by the commission, which has been done and is for your consideration as agenda item number 13. So we'll be talking about that later. And then following that, we are recommending a determination of a sphere of influence for Metropolitan Water District, and this will be agenda item 15 today. So a little background regarding the boundaries of Calleguas and Metropolitan, and I touched on this earlier. So at the beginning of this process, LAFCO staff conducted a review of the boundaries of the two agencies. Several discrepancies between the boundaries of these agencies were identified. That's when we contacted the county surveyor's office, who conducted a thorough review of these discrepancies. They identified some corrections to the boundaries of both Metropolitan and Calleguas, and these were recommended changes. These were like corrections. They didn't require LAFCO approval. They were just a better understanding of the true approved boundaries. These were provided to staff at Metropolitan and Calleguas for review, and both agreed that the corrections should be made. So with those corrections, we determined that the boundaries of both Calleguas and Metropolitan do appear to be coterminous. And therefore, future annexations, concurrent annexations to Metropolitan and Calleguas, they'll be approved concurrently by the commission, thereby ensuring that these boundaries will remain coterminous in the future. And here are the boundaries of Metropolitan, and these are also the boundaries of Calleguas. So they do align now. And one of the items later on, an update to Calleguas' sphere of influence, does reflect those changes that were made as part of this process. The public hearing notice was provided in the Ventura County Star on the LAFCO website and posted, and we've received no comments on this project. And with that, the recommendation is that the commission adopt resolution 2301, acknowledging the existing district boundaries for Metropolitan and making the findings that it's exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. And staff from both Calleguas and staff from Metropolitan are here if you have any questions or if they want to speak.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, John.
So Kai, so Metropolitan had to approve the sphere of influence because they're the parent agency, is that?
Well, the commission will establish their sphere of influence.
But it had to be approved by Metropolitan, or they just helped in correcting the boundaries?
Right, so when we identified the discrepancies in the boundaries of Metropolitan and Calleguas, both Metropolitan and Cayugas reviewed those recommended changes, and they agreed with them. They agreed that the boundaries, Metropolitan boundaries as depicted were not exactly correct, and Cayugas, as they were depicted, were not exactly correct. So this effort reconciled those boundaries, so they're now coterminous. So once the commission recognizes those boundaries, the commission can then establish a sphere of influence for Metropolitan that will be changed with all future annexations to it.
Going back in time, didn't at one time Metropolitan believe that we did not have the right to come up with a sphere of influence? Because there was no records from the past, that there was a, I kind of remember something in the past
Well,
about.
regarding this process, Metropolitan was handling their own annexations.
Okay,
And they were doing it in coordination with Cayugas. So the commission would approve changes to Cayugas's boundaries, and then Cayugas would have those changes made with Metropolitan's. So it was still happening, but it was happening outside the LAFCO process,
okay.
which applies.
okay. I can remember a little bit about that. Thank you.
Any other questions?
No questions here. I just want to thank staff. Great work on all of this. I know it was a lot of work, and y'all did a great job. Thank you. And Matt as well. Thank you.
So you need a motion on this item?
I'll make the motion to approve the
We have
MSR.
any-
I'll
we have
second.
any
Second.
Clarification, did you say the MSR? Aren't we doing the boundary at this point?
Sorry, I'll make the motion to approve the boundaries.
Okay,
I'll second that motion.
a second.
Commissioner Crosswhite,
Yes.
Commissioner Parvin,
Yes.
Commissioner Rooney,
Yes.
Commissioner Zaragoza,
Yes.
Chair Richards,
Yes.
and Commissioner Gorell is absent.
Okay, moving on to item 13, is that correct? And just for clarification, 13, it kind of rolls into 14, 15, 16. You gonna do 13 first?
Yes, we'll do 13 first.
All right, thank you.
This is agenda item number 13, which is the municipal service reviews for the Cayugas Municipal Water District, Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, and Ventura County Waterworks District number 8. The sphere of influence is defined in LAFCO law as the probable physical boundary and service area of a local agency as determined by the commission. Every 5 years, LAFCO is required to review the sphere for each city and special district, and in order to update the sphere, LAFCO must conduct a municipal service review, or MSR, of that agency. A municipal service review is a document prepared by LAFCO that covers specific topics related to the function of a local agency. An MSR contains a discussion of growth and population projections, location and characteristics of any disadvantaged unincorporated communities, the present and planned capacity of public facilities and adequacy of public services, the financial ability of agencies to provide services, status of and opportunities for shared facilities, accountability for community service needs, and any other matter related to effective and efficient service delivery. The Cayugas Municipal Water District covers most of eastern Ventura County, generally south of the Santa Clara River. It includes the cities of Simi Valley, Moore Park, Thousand Oaks, Camarillo, Oxnard, and Port Hueneme, and also the communities of Bell Canyon, Lake Sherwood, Oak Park, the Santa Rosa Valley, Somis, and Naval Base, Ventura County. The district's jurisdictional area is shown in yellow, and its sphere of influence is outlined in red. The Cayugas Municipal Water District was formed in 1953 in response to recurring droughts and an expanding population to establish a reliable supply of water in southeastern Ventura County to supplement local potable water supplies. It is an independent district, and it's governed by a 5-member board of directors. It provides wholesale water, water treatment, recycled, reclaimed water, agricultural water, groundwater management, water replenishment, water conservation, and wastewater disposal services. Its population is just under 645,000, and its jurisdictional area is nearly 400 square miles. Cayugas was formed and operates under the Municipal Water District Law of 1911. It is a member agency of the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. It provides wholesale water service to 19 retail water purveyors, and it does not provide any retail water service. It receives water exclusively from Metropolitan from 2 sources, including water from Northern California through the State Water Project and water from the Colorado River through the Colorado River Aqueduct. Cayugas is State Water Project dependent and does not usually receive any water from the Colorado River. The Cayugas Municipal Water District's water system includes the Santa Susana Tunnel, which is a 96-inch diameter pipeline between Chatsworth and Simi Valley. It also includes about 130 miles of major transmission pipelines. Also, it owns and operates the Lake Bard Reservoir and the Lake Bard Water Filtration Plant, and the Las Posas Aquifer Storage and Recovery Project, which involves the injection of imported water from Metropolitan into the ground for storage and future extraction when needed. Cayugas is one of 26 member agencies of the Metropolitan Water District, and it's located at the northernmost point of Metropolitan Service Area, shown here in brown at the upper left corner of the map. It is the only one of Metropolitan's member agencies that is located within Ventura County, and Cayugas exclusively provides water from the Metropolitan Water District. Cayugas provides water wholesale to 19 retail purveyors within the county, and those retailers include cities, water-serving special districts, and mutual water companies. Lake Bard is Cayugas's primary reservoir and was constructed in the 1960s. It's located between the cities of Thousand Oaks and Simi Valley, just south of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. It contains only imported water that it receives from Metropolitan other than natural precipitation. The lake has a capacity of 10,500 acre-feet and is used for emergency water supply, and it can accommodate 5.5 weeks at high flow and 4 months at low flow. Of the 10,500 acre-feet, 7,500 acre-feet is available for treatment at the Lake Bard Water Filtration Plant, and another 3,000 acre-feet can be used as non-potable emergency supply. Cayugas's total water demand is anticipated to increase as the population continues to grow within the service area, increasing about 5,000 acre-feet per year between 2025 and 2045 in normal, single dry, and multiple dry year conditions. And the purpose of showing these tables is to demonstrate that in all of these scenarios, the district anticipates maintaining supply in excess of demand by more than 26,000 acre-feet, and those are the numbers shown in blue. The district also provides wastewater service, which is distinct from wastewater or sewer service. The service entails the collection of brine from groundwater desalting facilities and excess recycled water consisting of treated wastewater through infrastructure known as the Salinity Management Pipeline, or SMP, which was also discussed earlier at this meeting. The water is then conveyed and discharged to the Pacific Ocean at an outfall in Port Hueneme. Cayugas does not generate or treat the wastewater that it conveys, and the wastewater service consists only of the conveyance and disposal service. And the idea here is that the SMP supports the development of groundwater treatment facilities and opportunities to diversify water supply within the region by creating a means of discharging brine and alleviating salinity within the watershed. Current dischargers to the SMP include the Camarosa Water District, the City of Oxnard, Port Hueneme Water Agency, and most recently, the City of Camarillo. It's anticipated that future discharges to the SMP will include Ventura County Waterworks District Number 1 in the Moore Park area, the City of Thousand Oaks, and the City of Simi Valley. This is a map of the Salinity Management Pipeline, showing its existing reaches in blue ending north of Camarillo and anticipated extensions, which are shown in green and purple and red.
Mr. Chair, could I ask a question at this point before we move on, since we're here, or?
Certainly.
Okay, so could you tell me exactly where that outfall is in Port Hueneme?
That outfall, I believe it's over by the, close to the pier. Let's see if I can.
It's by Perkins Road.
Is, it discharges under the parking lot out to the ocean? Near the pier?
It goes out, I think it's a mile or so out.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
All right, thank you.
The district is involved with several water supply and groundwater storage projects to ensure long-term reliability of the potable water service within the region. I'll touch on a few of the more significant ones here. First, the City of Ventura State Water Project Interconnection Project involves the wheeling of state water through Calleguas and metropolitan infrastructure to allow the city to take state water project water that includes rights to a maximum of 10,000 acre-feet per year, which the city has owned since 1971, but it has never been able to take delivery due to infrastructure limitations. Connection would be made between western Camarillo and East Ventura, north of Oxnard, as shown on this map here. In addition to benefiting the city and providing it access to imported water, this interconnection would improve opportunities for system redundancy for both Calleguas and the city of Ventura. And that interconnection is expected to occur within the next couple of years. Next, the Calleguas-Las Virgenes Municipal Water District interconnection. Like Calleguas, Las Virgenes MWD within Los Angeles County receives imported water from Metropolitan. And this project will allow both agencies to transfer and receive potable water in the event of supply outages or scheduled service interruptions, such as during required system maintenance. And the supply redundancy would benefit both Calleguas and Las Virgenes Municipal Water Districts. And lastly, the Las Posas Aquifer Storage and Recovery Project, known as the Las Posas ASR, that's located west of the city of Moore Park. And it involves the storage of injected imported water from Metropolitan into the Las Posas groundwater basin for storage and extraction of that stored water later at such time as it is necessary. The Las Posas ASR has a storage capacity of about 50,000 acre-feet per year, and the actual storage as of December 2020 was nearly 21,000 acre-feet. Calleguas prepares an urban water management plan every 5 years, and this is a requirement of the California Water Code for urban water suppliers that provide more than 3,000 acre-feet per year or have more than 3,000 service connections. The district's urban water management plan contains a water storage contingency plan, which is a tool to prepare for and establish procedures for scenarios where imported water supplies are limited or unreliable. Among the components of the district's water shortage contingency plan are a water supply alternative study, imported water outage protocol, a variety of capital improvement projects, development of the SMP, and emergency water supply reliability projects, such as those interconnection projects that we discussed. The district is taking steps to implement water conservation measures and manage demand, such as the preparation of that water shortage contingency plan, declarations of shortage levels 1 through 6 as necessary, specific restrictions regarding allowed times of the day for irrigation, prohibitions against outdoor water use, such as filling of ponds and lakes and pools and washing of cars, also rebates on water-saving plumbing features and turf replacement, moratorium or net zero demand increase requirement on new water connections, and conservation pricing of water. While the district primarily provides wholesale potable water service, it does also to a minor degree provide recycled water service. The Urban Water Management Plan states that recycled water shall be used whenever feasible to displace the use of potable water for new construction, landscape, and turf irrigation. Calleguas buys recycled water that's generated at the City of Simi Valley Sewer Treatment Plant, and it sells that water to Ventura County Waterworks District Number 8 in Simi Valley. The 2020 supply and demand of recycled water was 57 acre-feet. That's anticipated to increase to about 80 acre-feet per year. And Calleguas expects to transfer the ownership and operation of that recycled water system to Ventura County Waterworks District Number 8 in the foreseeable future. Next, we'll move on to the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. The jurisdictional area of Metropolitan within Ventura County is the same as for Calleguas, and it covers most of eastern Ventura County. The Metropolitan Water District of Southern California was formed in 1928. It is an independent district and is governed by a 38-member board of directors, and that includes representatives from agencies throughout its jurisdictional area, including within the counties of Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, San Diego, and Ventura. It provides wholesale water service to its customers, and its district population within Ventura County is, again, same as Calleguas, about 645,000, and the jurisdictional area is just under 400 square miles. Metropolitan operates under the Metropolitan Water District Law of 1928. It has 26 member agencies, one of which is the Calleguas Municipal Water District, and it serves about 19 million people overall. It provides wholesale water service only, and it does this by importing water through Northern California through the State Water Project and the Colorado River through the Colorado River Aqueduct. As mentioned, Calleguas is one of the member agencies of Metropolitan and is located at the northernmost end of Metropolitan service area. Calleguas is fourth of 26 in terms of annual imported water delivery volume. While the Colorado River does not factor largely into water supply reaching Ventura County, it is a key component of the metropolitan system. The Colorado River Aqueduct was constructed in the 1930s and provided a means for moving water from Lake Havasu at the river across the desert into Southern California, where urban development and the population were both quickly growing. Here are some photos of the construction of the Colorado River Aqueduct nearly 100 years ago, and a photo of the aqueduct in operation. Most of Ventura County's imported water supply comes from Northern California through the State Water Project, which is owned and operated by the California Department of Water Resources, and this was developed in the 1960s. Water flows through rivers and streams, and it eventually reaches the delta of the Sacramento and San Joaquin rivers, where a 500-mile conveyance network carries the water south. To reach Ventura County, water passes through Metropolitan's Joseph Jensen filtration plant in Granada Hills and enters the county through the Santa Susana Tunnel east of Simi Valley. Metropolitan is implementing several projects and programs in support of water reliability, including the Colorado River Drought Contingency Plan to increase water storage levels in Lake Mead and improve the Colorado River's water supply reliability. Also, modernization of the Delta Conveyance, which includes the Bay Delta Conservation Plan, that's the ecosystem restoration component, and California Water Fix, which includes the Delta Conveyance Project, that's new intake facilities at the North Delta along the Sacramento River, and a conveyance tunnel. Also, the Pure Water Southern California, which is a project involving purification of treated wastewater in partnership with the Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts. The BeWaterWise.com water saving campaign, development of a climate action plan for greenhouse gas reduction, and also water storage and transfer exchange programs with other agencies within California. And finally, Ventura County Waterworks District Number 8 provides water service within the Simi Valley area. Its jurisdictional area is shown in yellow with its sphere of influence outlined in red. The district was formed in 1955, and that will be corrected in the MSR that showed a different year, so we'll correct that. The district is a dependent district of the city of Simi Valley. It's governed by a 5-member board of directors, which consists of the city council of the city of Simi Valley. It provides retail potable water, water treatment, recycled, reclaimed water, agricultural water, groundwater management, and water conservation services. Its population is almost 95,000, and its jurisdictional area is 47 square miles. The district provides retail water service to the Simi Valley area, including 68% of the city of Simi Valley, as well as surrounding unincorporated areas. 99% of its water supply is imported water from the Cayugas Municipal Water District. Less than 1% of total supply is pumped from the Gillibrand subbasin of the Simi Valley Basin, and another less than 1% of total supply consists of recycled water used for irrigation and dust control. The district is exploring the possibility of expanding its water supply portfolio by tapping into the Simi Valley Basin. The district's urban water management plan demonstrates that the district does have sufficient supply to meet demand during normal, single dry, and multiple dry years for the foreseeable future, as shown in the numbers in blue. In all cases, supply is expected to exceed demand by more than 1,500 acre-feet per year through at least 2045. District number 8, like the other districts, is taking steps to encourage water conservation, such as through water waste prevention ordinances, conservation pricing of water, public education and outreach, and development of a water shortage contingency plan. Water consumption within the district between 1999 and 2009 was an average of 244 gallons per capita per day. And in 2020, the district had a target of 195 gallons per capita per day and exceeded that target by reaching 168 gallons per capita per day. The district also provides recycled water service. It receives water from the City of Simi Valley Sewer Treatment Plant, which generates the recycled water. That is sold to Cayugas and then resold to District 8 for distribution to retail customers. Supply between 2016 and 2020 averaged 32 acre-feet per year, but that's anticipated to increase to 76 acre-feet per year by 2030 and 80 acre-feet per year through at least 2045. The district prepared a recycled water master plan in 2008, which evaluated opportunities to expand the recycled water system, and it identified 130 potential users and a demand of up to 9,000 acre-feet per year. There are no plans currently in place to expand the existing recycled water treatment and distribution system, but it may be worthwhile for the district to take another look at that and explore those possibilities. Environmental review of the MSRs. Acceptance of an MSR for each of the 3 districts is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act because it can be seen with certainty that there's no possibility that preparation of these MSR reports may have a significant effect on the environment. Notice of the public hearing was not required, but it was provided by publishing in the Ventura County Star, posting on the Ventura LAFCO website, and outside the County Government Center. Final drafts of the MSRs were posted on the Ventura LAFCO website last Thursday as part of the agenda packet. And comment letters from Teresa Jordan have been received and were provided to the commission. Staff recommends that the commission accept the MSRs for the Cayugas Municipal Water District, Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, and Ventura County Waterworks District Number 8, and adopt a resolution for each district making findings that the MSR is exempt from CEQA and making statements of determination as required by LAFCO law. And that concludes my presentation. I'm open for questions, and we also have staff from each of the 3 agencies here available for questions. And I also want to thank all of those agencies, representatives from all of them who worked very hard and diligently to make sure that the documents that you have before you are accurate, precise, and easy to read for everyone, for the public, for agencies, anyone who is interested in knowing about these agencies.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. Questions of the commission?
I do have a question.
Janice?
And this is for Cayugas, so, and they're probably, you might be able to answer it, but you mentioned on page 11 of the staff report, also known as page 233 of the entire report, in it makes a comment about Lake Bard and how during the Northridge quake, there was concerns on water availability. I'm just curious as to what's the current plan? I mean, we've had everything this year except, okay, knocking on wood, an earthquake, which, I'm sure there's a plan in place. I'm just curious to hear what that update might be. Obviously, there's Las Posas has plenty of water, but it's not near that location, so.
Dan, you want to take this one, or you want me to take it?
I'm not wishing for an earthquake, I just want to clarify, because we've just had everything but that, so.
Okay. Good morning, Commission. For the record, my name is Dan Drugan. I'm the Manager of Resources at Cayugas Municipal Water District. And so the question was, well, what happens if we have a really big one, right, a really big earthquake? And what we have in place right now is an imported water outage protocol, which actually, so what we just went through during this past drought period during the summertime was allocating water supplies based on an efficiency standard. And so what was that efficiency standard? It was 55 gallons per capita per day, that's really what you should be using inside the home. If there was an earthquake to happen, and say for example, knock on wood, the Santa Susana Tunnel were to go down, we would immediately go out to the communities and say, no outdoor water use, none, because we would rely on our stored supplies on this side of the county, and that would be Lake Bard and the stored supplies that we have in the Las Posas ASR. We anticipate that's enough supply to make it through 6 months, especially if we can have folks extend that through no outdoor water use as we allocate supplies to your communities based on 55 gallons per capita per day. And so that's what we would do while we would reestablish that connection point with Metropolitan Water District over that period.
So would it take 6 months or more?
That's what we're planning for. Our kind of planning guideline is 6 months. We've talked to Metropolitan Water District about that. That's the time period that we've been planning for the better part of almost a decade now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yes, Jenny.
So I see, and it's raining now, so this is hopefully not going to be a problem, but I see that most of the assumptions in all of these in terms of how much water is left over, the supply versus demand, is based on the assumption of what we had in 2020. In 2022, things look very different. So how did 2022 realities impact these potential supply numbers? Because I know that what I had seen back at the end of 2022, there wasn't going to be 26,000 in excess. So I don't know if that's something that you or someone else can speak to.
Sure.
And any concern in terms of those projections going forward?
Sure. So the projections that were outlined in the staff report, those came directly from our urban water management plans. Those are long-term planning documents that we are required by the California Water Code to submit to the Department of Water Resources. That buffer that you see, the 26,000 acre feet, that's representative of our stored supplies. So Lake Bard and the supply that we store out in the Las Posas area. Now, what we just happened here, the preparation of the plan occurred before 2 very dire years with our Sierra snowpack, back-to-back single-digit allocations from the state, which was unprecedented. We've never seen anything like that in the history of the State Water Project. So I think what you're going to see in the future is with our legislators making tweaks to how we do these reports is there might be some changes to how we can anticipate future years, critically dry years like that in our future planning documents.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'm driving, I live here in North Oxnard, and I'm driving to right here to LAFCO. And the Santa Clara River, boy, there's trillions, probably of gallons of water going on to the ocean. Is there any potential that maybe in the future that Cayugas or Metropolitan can help, for example, the city of Oxnard with the ASRs? We're looking right now potentially at working with one of them there on Campus Park, and we're looking at potentially maybe having 11 ASRs, excuse me. And to me, those ASRs are like bank accounts. Whenever we have a drought, you can always draw on the different accounts. Is there any potential of funding in the future for those projects?
Yeah, absolutely. So Metropolitan Water District has a very successful local resources program, and what that does is it looks at the delta, right, of how much it would take to create your own new local supply versus the current cost of buying imported water. And so obviously new local resource development is typically more expensive, And so there's an incentive that's provided for that. So we would love to work with the city on that and get in contact with us. Yeah.
That's excellent, because that, again, you know, we're starting an ASR right now over on Campus Park off of Fifth Street. And it takes quite a bit of funding to do so, but thank you then for that.
Any other questions? All right, thank you very much, sir.
I'll move the motion to approve the MSRs for Metropolitan Water District, Calleguas Water Work District Number 8, and Metropolitan.
I'll second. But I do have a statement before we vote.
Certainly.
I think this is filled with so much information that it would be great for this information to be included in the minutes so that if somebody went to our LAFCO site, clicked on it, that they would be able to read up on all of this. Is that possible?
Well, the MSRs will be posted on the website. We have a page that shows the latest MSRs, the latest
Okay.
map, et cetera, for each district and city. So they will be available.
Okay, then we can refer people to it when they have questions.
Jenny?
And that motion includes the adoption of the resolution declaring them exempt from CEQA. Correct. Okay.
Yes. Okay. All right, we have roll call?
Commissioner Apala?
Yes.
Commissioner Crosswhite?
Yes.
Commissioner Gorell?
Yes.
Commissioner Marvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Zaragoza?
Yes.
Chair Richards?
Yes.
And Commissioner Rooney is absent.
Absent.
And Mr. Chair, excellent presentation by staff. Good job.
Alternate Commissioner Hassan can be a voting member in Commissioner Rooney's absence.
Yes. Hi.
She's not here.
Is she going for the meeting?
I can sit here?
Make a move.
And Commissioner Hassan.
Hi,
Vote?
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to agenda item 14. Andrea?
This is the Sphere of Influence review and update for the Calleguas Municipal Water District. This slide is a recap of the LAFCO requirement to determine a sphere of influence for each city and special district every 5 years, and that a municipal service review can be conducted or must be conducted before a sphere is updated. And this follows up to the Commission's MSR of the Calleguas Municipal Water District in the previous item, item 13. LAFCO's determinations regarding an agency's sphere of influence address present and planned land uses, present and probable need for public facilities and services, the present capacity of public facilities and adequacy of public services, the existence of any social or economic communities of interest, and for an update of a sphere of a city or special district that provides public facilities or services related to sewers, municipal and industrial water or structural fire protection, the present and probable need for those public facilities and services of any disadvantaged unincorporated communities within the existing sphere of influence. Again, here is the official map of the Calleguas Municipal Water District and location within Ventura County. There are 9 recommended sphere of influence updates for Calleguas, and each are intended to do one or more of the following: align the sphere with the existing jurisdictional boundaries of the district, align the sphere with a city boundary, and align the sphere with a city sphere of influence boundary. And these minor adjustments would result in a sphere that better matches the jurisdictional area of Calleguas, reduces the sphere where future services are not anticipated, and expands the sphere to include areas already within the district's jurisdictional area or the road right-of-way. And these recommended changes piggyback on the recent corrections that were made to Calleguas's jurisdictional boundaries. The existing sphere of influence otherwise continues to reflect the district's current and probable service area. So this map shows the 9 locations where the sphere is recommended to be changed, items or areas A through I, and I'm going to quickly just move through each of those. Area A involves the removal of land within the Santa Clara River riparian area to align the jurisdictional boundaries of the district and the city of Oxnard. Area B2 involves a cleanup of the sphere of influence along the northern city boundary and the Santa Clara River. Area C involves a sphere boundary adjustment along the road right-of-way between Oxnard and Camarillo in the same general location as for areas D and Area E. Area F involves adjustments along Potrero Road near Cal State Channel Islands to match the district's boundaries. Area G involves the removal of area from the sphere of influence to match the district's boundaries within the road right-of-way, which is the same as for Area H and Area I. The recommended sphere of influence updates are exempt from CEQA review as they will not result in a change in regulation, land use, development, or jurisdictional boundaries of the district. Notice of the hearing was provided as required by LAFCO law, and no comments have been received on this item. Staff recommends that the commission determine that the sphere of influence update for the Calleguas Municipal Water District is exempt from CEQA and make determinations to update the sphere. That concludes my presentation, and I'm open for questions, as is Calleguas staff.
Any other questions, Commission? Hearing none? Thank you very much. You need a motion?
Motion to approve?
And a roll call.
Commissioner Avila? Yes. Commissioner Crosswhite?
Yes.
Commissioner Gorell?
Yes.
Commissioner Hassan?
Aye.
Commissioner Parvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Zaragoza?
Yes.
And Chair Richards?
Yes. Item 15 on our agenda.
15?
I'm sorry, 16.
It should be 15. Okay, agenda item number 15, this is LAFCO 2303S. It's a sphere of influence determination for the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. This is the last action the commission will need to take in order for it to start exercising authority over Metropolitan. I will be brief because you've seen this multiple times already today. The sphere of influence was just, or the MSR was just approved by the commission last item. Here are those determinations. Here is the formal boundaries as recognized by the commission earlier in this meeting. No sphere of influence exists for Metropolitan and Ventura County. We are recommending that the commission establish a sphere of influence coterminous with the sphere of influence for Calleguas, which again, is based on these boundaries as modified. We don't have an official map to present you for Metropolitan because we were waiting for the commission to approve changes to Calleguas' sphere, which happened just a few minutes ago. So we will, based on our recommendation that you approve this with the understanding that the sphere of influence for Met will align with the sphere of influence for Calleguas, and we'll have that map prepared. It's exempt from CEQA, was published properly, noticed properly, and we recommend that you adopt the resolution finding it's exempt from CEQA. and making determinations establishing the sphere of influence for the district. And that concludes my presentation.
All right, thank you, Kai. Any comments from the commission? Hearing none, do I have a motion?
I'll move staff's recommendation.
Second.
Michelle, you call the roll.
Commissioner Avila?
Yes.
Commissioner Crosswhite?
Yes.
Commissioner Gorell?
Yes.
Commissioner Hassan?
Aye.
Commissioner Parvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Zaragoza?
Yes.
And Chair Richards.
Yes. Item 16 on our agenda. Andrea.
Okay, this is the last one. Ventura County Waterworks District Number 8. This is the sphere of influence review for District 8. Again, I'm just going to move through these slides unless there are questions on the sphere of influence determinations. Here's the official map of District 8 with the jurisdictional area in yellow and the sphere of influence in red. The recommended action is for the commission to review the sphere of influence and make no changes to the sphere of influence. Notice of hearing was provided as required by LAFCO law, and comments have been received from Teresa Jordan, which have been submitted to your commission. And staff recommends that the commission determine that the sphere of influence review with no changes to the sphere to District 8 is exempt from CEQA and make determinations to review the sphere. And that concludes the presentation.
All right, thank you very much. Do we have commission comments? I only have one comment. Was the city of Simi Valley received notice?
The city of, well, the district is a dependent district of the city of Simi Valley, and district staff is city staff, and city staff is available in here today. So yes, and we've worked very closely on this.
Thank you. Any comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the motion to,
I second it.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Avila?
yes.
Commissioner Crosswhite?
Yes.
Commissioner Gorell?
Yes.
Commissioner Hassan?
Aye.
Commissioner Parvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Zaragoza?
Yes.
And Chair Richards.
Yes. I think we're down to the executive officer's report.
There's a correspondence received under agenda item 19. It's just a receive and file item.
Receive and file. We need a motion.
We need a motion that, so move.
Commissioner Avila? Yes. Commissioner Crosswhite?
Yes.
Commissioner Gorell?
Yes.
Commissioner Hassan?
Aye.
Commissioner Parvin?
Yes.
Commissioner Zaragoza?
Yes.
And Chair Richards.
Yes. Okay, now, executive report.
Thanks. The staff report is just future anticipated agenda items. We did have to bump sphere of influence reviews for the cemetery districts and the port district and the harbor district to accommodate all of the actions that the commission just took regarding Metropolitan and Cayuga. So we will be starting that process to review those districts coming up here in the near future. I do want to just touch a little bit on a couple of things in my update memo. Just a little bit of follow-up from last meeting in February. After the presentation I made about constraints to development, the commission did ask that a map be prepared that showed the wildlife corridors overlaid over the existing communities and urban areas, and that be posted on the LAFCO website. So we did do that. We provided it to the commission as attached to the update memo, and it is added to that presentation posted on the website, which we did. Regarding commissioner email address, we did receive interest from at least one commissioner about providing a county email address for commissioners to use for LAFCO purposes. I did talk with the county executive offices and IT, and they both said that that can happen. If commissioners do want to have a county email address for LAFCO business, please let me know and we'll make that happen. I do want to mention briefly that Andrea and I did meet with the director of the County Resource Management Agency and the county planning director to talk about constraints to housing in Ventura County. It was an opportune time, having just made the presentation about constraints to housing. We are going to be participating with the county and other agencies to identify specific constraints to housing and ways to overcome those constraints. So LAFCO will be a big part of that, given service provision issues. So I did commit to work as part of that effort to identify those constraints and hopefully resolve them to the extent that we can. That might include changes to commission policies, might include changes to guidelines for early development. We're going to be talking about a lot of potential options out there. At that same meeting, I requested that LAFCO be involved in a similar effort to identify constraints to specifically farm worker housing. There's an effort right now, it's a survey, including the cities, the counties, and other interested groups that are identifying what is the specific need to accommodate farm workers and housing for them in this county. The second phase is going to come out of that first phase to, again, identify constraints to development of farm worker housing. And I asked that LAFCO be part of that effort, and again, county staff agreed. So we will be involved in that effort here as the second phase of that. So I just wanted to bring the commission up to date on that.
Are those meetings open to the public?
There's a couple committees. I'm not sure yet. This is still new. This is in the initial outreach stages. That's why we were contacted. I'll let you know when I know more.
All right, thank you.
Sure. And that concludes my update.
Okay. Any commission comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, John?
I just want to thank Kai again for accepting the invitation to make a presentation to our city council this coming Tuesday on LAFCO 101.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jenny?
Yeah, just real quick, I don't know if anyone else did, but I did attend the Cal LAFCO Dirty Dozen, 12 Things I Wish I'd Known About the Act presentation. And so if anyone else is interested, I believe if you have the Cal LAFCO login, it's in the, there's a portal where those presentations, you can go back and watch them. But I thought it was interesting. And they talked about some projects and gave some real world examples. And so anyway, just thought I'd let everyone know that that was there.
I just want to say thank you, staff. Today's package and agenda that we received last week was incredible, very lengthy. But with that, I also want to say I'd like some more time and possibly receive these agendas a little bit earlier, especially when they're so lengthy, right? We all have other responsibilities and other things to do. I have a day job and 2 kids, and it was rough getting through it. I wasn't able to get through the whole thing, and it's a little disappointing in myself not being able to read the whole thing. So, a few more days when they're this long, not all the time when they're this long, would be really helpful.
And it's always been our practice is that when we know we're going to have materials that are lengthy, like when there's an EIR or a significant environmental document or what have you, when we know about it, our practice, it hasn't occurred yet this year, is to provide those documents to the commission as soon as we get them, to provide you that additional time. In this instance, the majority of this paper was coming in late in the process. We just didn't have the opportunity to get it to the commission for review. But we always try to keep that in mind, and where we can, we certainly will.
Thank you.
I don't think I've ever seen a larger packet, so I'm not sure you're going to see a lot of them like this. So don't be discouraged.
All right, I think we're at a point of adjournment. All in favor? All right, we're adjourned.
All right, thank you.